Hello viewers, Super GT here. This hopper on Forza Motorsport might be my new favourite. It's Formula Mazda and it brought about some very incredible races, as I'm sure you'll agree. Now this was just a practice session and I didn't think much of it because I set a time 1.5 seconds quicker than everyone else in the lobby, so I thought, okay, well, there's probably not going to be too much competition. Until along comes Jamar 3385, setting a 128.5, going slightly quicker than I managed. Now I had set my qualifying laps, I didn't manage to go quicker than him, I had to settle for second as you can see. And so on the grid I thought, well, I really need to get past this guy as quickly as possible, ideally. And fortunately enough for me, that happened. So Formula Mazda, 22 cars around mid-Ohio. This turned out to be one of the most tense races I've had on this game. I think it probably is the most tense I've had on this game. One of the most tense I've ever had. But I'll let you be the judge of that. So straight into the lead, that always helps, doesn't it? That's the position we want to be in. And fortunately enough for me, my main rival, Jamar, down into 4th. So it was a really bad start. And I'm not sure how he managed to do that, really. As we got a really bad traction off the line. Now here I went a little bit deep and not ideal line really. As you can see, the proximity arrows coming into play just behind, so you know that the cars behind are very close when of course the proximity arrows start appearing. Now up on the top left you can see the gaps. It's always good to have those up on the screen so you know exactly what's going on. Jamar up to 3rd by this point, and he was the one I was really worried about because he's the one that showed the most pace out of everyone in the lobby. He was up to 3rd, fighting with the other guys, and you see, as they start fighting, I have the chance to try and pull away. I've got clear air, no one in front of me, no one to interrupt me, no one trying to overtake me, and so this is my chance to try to establish as big of a gap as possible. But then by the end of lap number 1, he does actually manage to get back into 2nd place. So at the end of lap 2, 1 lap later, the gap is pretty much just over 2 seconds again. We were both very consistent. At the end of lap 3, down to 1.9. And so you can see that the pace was incredibly close between us. End of lap number 4, down to 1.8. So only 1/10 of a second between us on those first couple of laps. So it was very, very close indeed. However, here on lap number 5, pushing nicely through turn number 1, then up to the hairpin of turn 2, and you see the gap down to 1.7 by this point. I just don't really quite get the corner as well as I would like. You see, just sliding mid-turn, and the gap comes down from 1.7 down to 1.4, down to 1.3. Now I'm going to have to excuse the audio in this video. When I recorded it, it really went very weird. And that's the reason why it's very quiet. Trust me, you don't want to hear it because it's all very a bit over the top. And so I've muted it, or at least quietened it. So you're going to have to make do with my voice, unfortunately. This is lap number 6 now. We are near enough halfway into this race, pretty much halfway into the race. And the gap is slowly but surely coming down. This guy clearly had the pace advantage on me. I couldn't quite extract as much from this car as he could. And something I liked about this Formula Mazda is that it is one of the spec series, and so you know everyone is racing in the same car, and it does make it quite balanced. Well, makes it very balanced. And through turn 1, lap number 7, the gap slowly but surely coming down. Every time I looked behind, I could see that he was just edging closer and closer. Proximity arrow goes orange, and I've not seen that since lap number 1. So the signs are changing. There it is, the proximity arrow. As soon as that's there, you know you're in for a close fight. And as we look behind, he is very, very close indeed. I was just wondering, should I go defensive or not? And he wasn't quite close enough on this occasion to go for the move here. So just take the normal racing line, although on the exit he carried really good speed. And I kind of had to close this move off into the left-hander, just slowly edging across, just to make sure he didn't go for it. And the thing with that proximity arrow, I feel that overall it is useful, but you have to learn to not get too distracted by it. It is very easy to kind of get hypnotized by it and keep watching it, and then you're not really focusing on your racing line, your braking points, etc. So it is very easy to fall foul of it if you don't if you're not used to it, should we say. This is lap number 8 now, 3 laps remaining after this lap, so about 3.5 by this point. We're all on a hard tyre. I wasn't quite sure what to go on. Jamal went for the hard, I went for the hard as well, just to match him, and it turned out to be the right choice. As on lap number 9, this is as close as he's been. On the exit of turn number 1, this is probably the first time I'm really having to go defensive here, as it's a big braking zone here into the second corner. I thought, I'm just going to cover the inside, take no chances, force him to the outside. But this is going to give him a very good chance down this back straight, a very long straight here at Mid-Ohio. You're flat out for a good 10-15 seconds in this car. And so I'm going to very much have to move over to the right-hand side and cover him off, as the challenge is very much coming now. As we force him to the outside, there's no possibility of the move there. And so we've successfully defended, but this is only going to get harder and harder as the race goes on and the pressure increases. And so I have to really keep my cool, just drive the line as best I can. Through this middle sector, sliding through that right-hander, you see the tyre wear actually getting quite bad by this point in the race, as we are about 3/4 of the way through. The front tyres especially have begun to wear out. As we skip forward, the beginning of lap number 10 now, the sun setting right in our face as we turn into turn 1, quite difficult to actually see. And I'm going to use that as my excuse as to why I went wide there, smashing into the cones, and Jamal is into the lead, something he has not seen since the very first second of the race. And I'm going to have to try to reply as early as I can here. It actually went really wide there, and I couldn't quite capitalise on the exit, as I just didn't quite have the grip. But we do have the slipstream here. Are we going to be able to return to first place? What side is he going to go? Surprise, he doesn't actually defend, so I'm able to go back up the inside into turn number 3 or turn number 4, I don't know what it officially is. I'm back into first on lap number 10. This is the penultimate lap, and so I thought there was pretty much game over there. As soon as the faster driver gets through, you're probably thinking, well, that's it, he's probably going to disappear off into the distance. But he made a bit of a crucial error there, I'd say, not defending the inside and just giving me the door open and the invitation to go back into first. So now with the tyre wear in, well, you see pretty bad state as we're into the orange, and you may well have noticed on this game the tyre wear, I mean, it really does drop off quite quickly, the amount of grip you have. So quite suddenly here we're struggling for grip. I mean, this Formula Mazda is typically very grippy. It has quite a lot of downforce, and it's quite a small and nippy little car. But by this late phase of the race, final lap now, it is struggling for grip, and I think Jamar is having the same struggles, as he's not really able to make a massive impression here. Although coming into turn number 2, final lap, I'm going to cover the inside once again, just park it on the inside. Just do not give up the inside at all, force them the long way around. And that is going to be my motto from here to the end of the race. He has a very big chance on this straight, given the capability of the slipstream. We saw it on the previous lap when I went back past him. He's not really gaining as much as he'd like there, I think, as we hit the brakes, and he's not got the move done, but we still have half a lap left. There's a collision there apparently, according to the penalty system. Didn't really feel anything, but we're going to continue nevertheless. And the front tyre is down to pretty dark orange on the wear meter, and so this is going to get quite tricky for this last half of a lap. Can I keep my cool and keep the car on the track before the end of the race? He's very close indeed, 0.4 seconds behind. The pressure has been relentless throughout the entirety of this race, not only because he's quick, but just the constant proximity arrow right behind me. 1 or 2 corners left remaining, trying to keep it really, really narrow, and so he just cannot quite get up the inside. And after 11 laps of very tense racing, we're going to bring it home to have a first place. I mean, that was very hard fought for, and fair play to Jamar. That was a really good battle with him, and he was definitely the faster guy, but I just I think defended pretty well and managed to bring home the victory. This race was also very fun. I decided to not qualify, starting 20th out of 22. Watkins Glen, 8 laps. You can see obviously very foggy indeed. And again in the Formula Mazda, proving that this was a very good category, and one that I think I'll try and play quite a lot because it's actually very fun. Through the first corner, your typical kind of bumping and grinding. And so we're able to jump up a couple of positions. Gone from 20th up to now battling for 13th as we climb the hill for the first time. So lots of slipstream here. Watkins Glen is quite a fast track, I would say, especially on this back straight. It's going to try and tuck into the slipstream. I mean, this isn't the most powerful car in the world, really. So I'm going to cover the inside into the chicane, and this guy actually brakes really early and just gives loads of space. So I move immediately into 13th. Now, fortunately for me here, I kind of turn in, and this guy has a bit of a moment. We collide, and as a result of that, I'm going to get a 4-second penalty. So yeah, perhaps I could have given a bit more space there, and probably a fair penalty, although I didn't really feel it at the time. Now those two cars spinning off up into 10th. Now there's going to be another car spinning off, and it's quite tricky to see all of these cars given how foggy it is. I mean, they'd probably call the race off in these kinds of conditions, but not in the world of Forza Motorsport. The old switcheroo has been performed on that guy. So we're going to slide up into 8th, now looking for 7th, tucking into the slipstream, back out again, late on the brakes, perhaps a little bit too late, but we're going to try and keep the minimum speed up and get a somewhat decent exit. And then we are behind 7 here, who goes very wide, smashing out some cones, and we're going to actually have a very good battle with this guy for pretty much the rest of the race, or at least most of it, as we head here into 6th place through the penultimate corner, 4 seconds off the lead, but with a 4-second penalty. This race is going to be quite tricky to win, but there's a long way to go yet, and so we shall see what happens. Crossing the line, 7 laps left to go, trying to spot our braking point here into this first corner, and this car can actually brake quite late. One, because it's not got the most power, so you're not going into corners that quick, but also because it is just quite light. It's a very light car. Covering the inside here and just preserving our position, wanting to stay ahead of this guy who had a really good slipstream run. Someone flying off to the left hand side into the shadow realm there, and then that's me up into 5th as we whip forward slightly towards the end of lap number 2. This battle ahead is getting quite hot and heated for second. One mistake there from me, and I'm about to make another one as I just don't quite commit to this corner early enough and just go way too deep. Understeer simulator, a bit of contact, and then that was the leader in the Red Bull car there spinning off, and so yes, I got overtaken there, but I'm still in 5th now, but well within sight of the lead. In fact, the leader is going through the final corner right now, and so this is pretty much a 5-way battle for the lead of the race, which is very cool indeed. And so we're going to try and bide our time here. We've got plenty of time. Myself and 7 there, both with 4-second penalties, which quite interesting. Both making good progress through the pack as we're going to try and slowly work towards that group in front. So heading up through the S's in the slipstream, trying to pick our way past. Am I going to try and do it on the outside? Yes, I'm going to get a slightly better run here on the left hand side. Had to commit to one side, went for the left, so I'm on the outside. They're 3 abreast up in front. That is probably not going to end well for someone. As we head into the corner here, I try to give the space, and it gets really, really close indeed between the two of us. Bit of lost control, and I get a 0.4 penalty for cutting the track. And I mean, I suppose it's quite lucky, that we both got through without crashing, so we can continue in this race and try and catch up with these two front. So 2nd and 3rd there with contact. We're going to go past the pair of them, albeit with a bit of a push on the way through. That's 2nd place. So it's definitely not the cleanest run through from 20th now to 2nd, but we do have 4.4 seconds worth of penalties which we have to contend with, and the leader at this moment has a 1-second penalty, so I'm going to have to try and finish 3.5 seconds in front, which is not going to be easy at all. And then we have 7 just behind for close company, so this certainly is not going to be an easy finish. So that is the end of lap number 3. We've still got 5 laps remaining in this race, and so this race developing quite quickly. We're going to whip it forward slightly as you're kind of flat out for a long time there up the hill. 7 comes back at me on the left hand side, and who's going to back out? he is going to back out. That's perhaps what I should have done on the last lap, but I'm going to make a mistake halfway through the corner, just committing a little bit too much to the right and not turning left. And so we're going to relinquish second for the time being. So I want to know your thoughts, guys, on the game. You know, what is your favourite hopper? I think for me, this one has actually been right up there. I think I'm always going to be the biggest fan of the Forza GT. The GT cars, I think, are always going to be my favourite. And that's probably going to be quite hard to change, but this is certainly a hopper that I think people should probably try out, as I've experienced, yes, a lot of carnage, but also some pretty decent racing, at least towards the front of the pack. So here, having a nice little switcheroo there on second place and moving up into second, and this has been a really good battle between the two of us, I would say, even though we've had some contact and a bit of rubbing here and there. I think overall the vibe has been positive. He's going to slide quite wide through that turn, as we are slowly but surely reeling in the leader, and that's good news for me as I look behind. Third and fourth there can get slightly entangled with each other, and that gives me a bit of space now to try to focus on moving forward rather than battling behind. So this is the end of lap number 4. Halfway into the race, as we're going to move forward once again, slowly but surely gaining. That was a much better line through the bus stop, and that's what I was trying to do on the previous 4 occasions. Didn't quite manage it. And by the end of lap number 5, gaining quite nicely. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for the support on Forza Motorsport recently, and who's been subscribed to the channel very recently. We've got quite a lot of new subscribers this month, so a big thank you, as this guy goes defensive on the exit of the corner. I'm not quite able to perform the old switcheroo there, so he kind of knew that was coming, and he defended it quite nicely. I drove into the back of him, but here we're going to drive into the back of him again, so please do excuse me here for my filthy driving. But it was almost a case of just trying to push it a bit too much in terms of going right up behind him, getting as much slipstream as possible, and we kind of just nerfed him wide. But sometimes I must say, and this is going to sound like a massive excuse, but sometimes the netcode isn't absolutely perfect. I don't think it was too bad there, I must say, but sometimes it looks like you make contact with cars when you feel like you're actually a little bit further away than you are, but I don't know about that one. But anyway, I've got 4.9 seconds worth of penalty, and it kind of just shows you that I am pretty much a filthy and shameful rammer, you could say. So it's amazing how after all these years I've joined the dark side, guys, and this is what we've ended up as. But now I have a very quite clear task ahead of me, which is to try and open up a gap. If I can open up 3.9 to the guy behind, then I should win it, as long as, you know, I've got enough of a gap to all the other guys as well, and I have 3 laps in which to do that. Now this was quite interesting, because I thought this race would be very close. These guys were sticking with me and I couldn't really shake them off on this lap. However, if we take a look at the gaps here, this was the following lap. The gap was 1.6 by this point, and then suddenly it just accelerated up to 2.5 to 2.6. And you can see the guys behind it. By this point, 7 had just dropped off the face of the earth. I had no idea what happened. And by the end of the race, they just fought so much with each other that I just had a free run to the line and finishing 8 seconds ahead in the end. 20 positions gained in that race. Formula Mazda, give it a try. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.